inability to stay focused in classrooms, fidgeting all the time. So it might not be disturbing the others, but constantly doing something, So you're talking to them, but they're tearing the paper, drawing something, fidgeting, moving, restless, all those things, because the brain is not receiving anything that you are saying as a teacher. You're taking classes, but the brain is just not receiving anything. It's disconnected, and that's why the hyperactivity, the fidgeting, and everything happens. So this is when teachers should also just remind yourself, because it's very disturbing when you're taking a big classroom. mm, I don't know how many students in a class you teach, but if it's a big classroom where you're teaching 40 to 50 students, and you see, regularly see this child fidgeting and, tapping or just doing some other thing while they're teaching, it can get pretty frustrating. But understand that it's more frustrating for the child, because every time she or he is trying to listen to you, 5 minutes down the line, and he's distracted because he just did not understand one word that you said. So for other normal learners, it comes naturally as you're reading a passage, and then you don't have to explain most of the words. But for children with dyslexia, sometimes, identifying and decoding certain word becomes difficult. So as you're explaining, the moment they miss one word and they are not able to understand and connect, then that's a full stop. They will not go any further. Okay. So and then so struggling to read and understand. So reading and comprehension goes separately for children with dyslexia. Now you've read storybooks, you've read novels. I know of some people who read 3 to 4 novels at a time, because they don't like reading just one. So I know of people who are able to do that, and I'm never able to do that. But for some people who are able to do that, they can still come back, read the story, and then pick up from where they left it, right? So there there's some people who are like that, but for a dyslexic child can never connect. So every time you're reading the same thing, also it becomes a new thing for them. So it's very difficult for them to connect. So if you read a story and you've not completed it, it's difficult for them to connect in the next class. So it's very important for teachers to give a gist of what you're going to talk about. So if immediately you come to class and you're just saying, okay, open to chapter 4, page this one, this is the topic, and we'll just, okay, you're reading. So you're reading paragraph by paragraph, explaining it to them. For a dyslexic child, that's not going to be very, very helpful. Okay. If you have come into class and you said, okay, we're going to do chapter number 4, and then we're going to do this, it's going to talk about living things, non-living things, so let me just brief you on what it is. So you give them a gist of what you are going to deal with. So that anticipation that, okay, this chapter I have to orient my brain to think in this line, that's going to be very helpful. Okay, because sometimes paragraph by paragraph you are dealing with it, a dyslexic child will just get lost in the second or third paragraph. So that is difficult, because for you and for the child, because you'll have to connect from the point where he's got disconnected. Otherwise, even if you've completed the chapter 2-3 times and you've not explained that word, even if the third time you do the same thing, it's not going to, he's not going to pick up on that. So it's very important you give a gist of what is to be expected from each chapter. It's very, very important. Now, it's important for also teachers to understand that a dyslexic brain is not an issue with intelligence, because many dyslexic are also score higher when it's like to come with IQ, the intelligence question. When you have a psychological assessment, children with dyslexia or any of the SLDs can also score very high in their IQ. Okay, so it's not a problem with the intelligence, it's a problem with the brain wiring and sending information for the written and the spellings and all those things. But they can also score very high with intelligence. So that's one thing that teachers should be hopeful about, because they can utilize the brain's ability to alter and create perceptions. So dyslexic children are actually very, very creative, and the they're very creative and they're very curious. Now, because they're curious, learning happens. Okay, but when you try and then pressure them too much and say that this is the only way to learn and only way to learn in class, to read, write, memorize by heart, write again, write 5 times, it's not aiding to the need. Okay, so sometimes you have to understand that maybe they learn differently. A quote that I've always throughout my teaching experience, that I've always hold very closely to my heart is, if a child cannot learn the way you teach him the way that he can learn, because all children can learn. So it's very important for teachers to understand that sometimes, since we don't accommodate and adapt our teaching methods, it can be very frustrating for teachers also. You're teaching. I've been teaching. I take extra tuitions. I've been actually tutoring him for free. I actually sit 30 minutes after class with him trying to teach this, but he doesn't get it. So sometimes I know why teachers can also get so frustrated, because you are trying to teach, but you're not trying to accommodate and you know and adapt to any change, and that's why a child will not be able to learn. So sometimes when you look at that, you know, my teacher used to say that when a teacher is also so adamant and teaches just the way that she can, it also shows that a teacher can also be dyslexic. So that's what my teacher, my tutor also used to tell. So it's important for us to adapt and see how they learn, okay? And it's important for you to also notice how a child learns best, because we have 4 different kind of learners. We have the auditory learner, we have the kinesthetic learner, we have the visual learner, okay? So, and tactile learner. So when we have these kind of children in your class, when you get into class and you ask your children, okay, today is a free class, how many of you would like to draw? How many of you would like to listen to a story? You will see, some will say drawing, some will say story, So immediately a child will pick up on the skill or the sense that is most heightened for them. So children who can learn through pictures will be more interested in drawing. Children who are more auditory will like stories, yeah. Or children who are more tactile will want to outing, let's go out and play, So it can differ, and that's why our teaching should also include all these other skills, where you're trying to teach them using all their skills, okay, all their senses. That's very, very important.